And good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Break here on KMEM Radio. I'm Mark Denny, in for Rick Fisher once again. And our Coffee Break program is brought to you, as always, by these great sponsors that include Max Super Saver in Cahokia, which is where we will be tomorrow morning for Coffee Break. Also, Crop Production Services, Van Buren County Hospital in Keosauqua, Tri-County Electric, and Scotland County Hospital right here in Memphis. It's currently 33 degrees, a bit on the cloudy side, rain in the picture, at least for a little while, but the weather is going to be warming up. Forecast details a little bit later on. We're glad to have everybody that's here in the KMEM studios this morning up from the Knox County area. It is a, shall we say, packed court this morning, to use some terminology that you all use. I've got in the studio with me this morning Mr. Corey Moon. He's the Lewis County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney and the prosecutor for Drug Court. Also, Judge Tom Reddington from Drug Court is in. Jane Moore, Case Manager and K-9 Officer for Drug Court. And Tanya Steele is the Administrator of the Second Circuit Drug Court. And you notice the term that's constant in all this is Drug Court. Judge, what are we talking about?
Well, the drug court program has been around for a long time. It takes people who have an addiction to either drugs or alcohol who traditionally don't do well at all on regular probation. So these are people that have been convicted of a felony, been placed on probation. They're put in the drug court program, which is a very stringent probation to try to get them back on track, because people that have addiction don't do well at all on a regular probation track.
So is this open pretty much to people that are, say, first-time drug offenders, or could it be repeat?
It could be repeat. That's really up to the prosecuting attorney to recommend somebody to go into the drug court program, but it has to be somebody whose crime was really caused or contributed to by their addiction to either drugs or alcohol. We put them on a very stringent program. They have to come to court every week. They have to be willing to let us come to their house at random times to check out their house. That's what Jane does with her drug dog. They have to be tested randomly, usually about twice a week. We test their urine to see if they're using drugs. They have a curfew, they have to get a job, or I make them do community service as if it were a job. They have to meet with the case manager and their probation officer and go to treatment, both individual treatment and group counseling, to try to get a handle on their addiction.
Are they able to travel outside the county during this time?
With permission of the drug court team, they can. But we keep very close track of them.
This is extremely stringent, isn't it?
It's the only way. I'll just tell you a couple of statistics. In Missouri, the people that are placed on regular probation don't really do very well. About 67% of them fail and get in more trouble.
No matter what the crime may be?
No matter what the crime is. In graduates of the drug court program statewide have an 8.7%. So we're talking about a reduction in people committing crime from about 2/3 of the people on probation get rearrested, 8% of the people in the drug court program. So it's a big benefit to the community.
Why such a difference?
Well, because we're keeping close track of them, and we're making them deal with their addiction. We make them go to treatment. We test them regularly, and we punish them. We call it sanction, but really, if they test dirty, they go right to jail. No continuances. No, let's do something later. Straight to jail, which is the way to change their behavior.
So they've got one shot at this, basically, once they're in the program, and if they blow it, that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, almost everybody who, if they fail out of the drug court program, they're headed to prison.
Okay, Mr. Moon, who makes the determination, then, as to whether somebody is eligible or not for drug court?
The prosecutor initially handles the case. They get the report from law enforcement and ultimately make the charging decision on what crime is going to be charged. But in order to get people into the drug court program, it's more than just looking at the police reports and the charging document. It's I talk a lot to law enforcement officers and as well as victims and sometimes families of the defendant to really determine whether or not drugs or alcohol addiction was kind of the root of their committing the crime. And then if I feel after talking to all those people that drug court would be a great benefit to them, or that drug court would be an option, then I have them screened by Ms. Steele, the drug court administrator, and then depending on what her determination is and the drug court team as a whole, then we decide that that person would be a good candidate for drug court.
So is this kind of a case-by-case basis you look at this, or is there a set of criteria that you just check off and, yeah, they meet this, they don't meet this, so therefore they're not eligible for drug court? How does that work?
Well, for me, it's I kind of go off of my feeling, just based off of talking to, again, the law enforcement officers, the family of the defendant sometimes, and the victims, whether or not they feel that this was a crime committed due to some kind of addiction or problem, or whether that was could be attributed to something else.
And anybody can chime in with this one, though, but when somebody gets into drugs, doesn't addiction usually play a role in it somewhere along the line? You know, people do drugs for a lot of different reasons. They sell drugs, obviously there's money in it, if you can get away with it. But aren't most people usually users themselves?
Well, sure. Most of the people that we would see in Northeast Missouri that are convicted of selling are doing it to feed their own habit. They're committing crimes in part because of the addiction they have. You know, anybody that's ever had somebody in their extended family that got addicted to methamphetamine or cocaine or heroin, the first people they prey on are their family, stealing grandma's checkbook or something, trying to find money any way they can to feed their addiction. The drug court really helps them deal with their addiction so that they can get back to being a productive member of society. We make them get a job, we make them finish treatment, we make them pay their child support. We really try to mold them back into being a productive member of society.
Does each individual county in Missouri have its own drug court or similar problem, or does Knox County serve some of the other counties?
Well, it's a second judicial circuit drug court program. So Lewis County, Knox County, and Adair County. The First Circuit, where you are, also has a drug court program. Judge Rick Roberts runs the drug court program in the First Circuit, and that's Clark County, Scotland County, and Schuyler County. There's currently some talk about starting up a separate program in Schuyler County. I think you had Judge Lovecamp on yesterday.
Yes.
That's kind of in the process. There are 141 drug courts in operation in the state of Missouri. Not every county has one, but most of them do.
So how long has drug court actually been in existence, and I guess whose idea was it? How did it get started in the first place?
Actually went way back. Claire McCaskill, now the senator from Missouri, started the very first drug court in Missouri in Jackson County. She was kind of on the forefront of starting that. In the Second Circuit, Judge Russ Steele has done the drug court in Adair County for 13 years. So, I mean, it's been around for quite a while. I just started handling the program February 1st in Adair County, and I've been doing it in Lewis County for, I don't know, about 6 months or so. At some point, we're going to start a separate Knox County drug court. What we do right now, if there are people, and there are, I don't know, 5 or 6 people that are Knox County people who needed to be in the drug court program, we did a change of venue to either Lewis County or Adair County so that they could be in that program. Eventually, I think the numbers will justify us having one in Knox County as well.
Now, how did you become the judge for drug court?
Well, I was elected judge in Knox County, and I expressed interest in it with Judge Steele, he's sort of my boss, as the circuit judge. I helped start a drug court program in Marion County where I was prosecuting attorney for almost 20 years. So I expressed an interest and just told them, it's every week, and so there's a lot of work involved. And I told him if he ever thought about maybe taking a break, I'd be happy to fill in for him. And so just starting February 1st, I'm now the drug court judge in Adair County as well.
And Mr. Moon, how did you become the prosecuting attorney for drug court?
Well, actually, the elected prosecutor in Lewis County is Jules DeCoster, and he had an assistant prosecutor before me that he had hired. That individual left, and then Jake hired me, Jules hired me. And so, as the assistant prosecutor, drug court is just one of the things that goes along with the dealings in our office. So that's just kind of one of the roles that I stepped into when I was hired back in August.
How many cases are currently involved in drug court right now, more or less?
I believe we have around 13 participants in drug court right now in Lewis County.
Okay. Jane, tell us about your role just a little bit.
I'm the case manager for Adair County Drug Court Program.
And that means what?
And that means that I meet with them almost every week. We talk about housing, we talk about job work, whether they're working or whether they're doing community service. That's a requirement every week in Adair County to have at least 25 hours a week work or that many community service hours. We get together and we talk about what's going on in their life, how is the house, how's the transportation, what are they doing in the program. I check progress and everything. Lots of them, as they progress through the program, they get more confidence and want to go back to school, want to get training, so I help them find schooling and training and new jobs and maybe new housing. Just putting them back on their feet and encouraging them to keep going, because it's a difficult process for them as an addict.
Indeed it is. And Tanya Steele, you're the administrator. What is your role in drug court?
I am the budget officer. I'm the one that kind of looks, manages the money. I look for funding out there. I also help coordinate. I'm kind of the liaison for the team between the judge, the prosecutor, and the case manager. I work with the treatment to make sure that their curriculum and that they're kind of on target with what we're hoping is being taught and presented to the individuals in our program. I interview, Jane also does some of the interviewing of each participant that is maybe eligible for the program, and we identify their criminal history, their medical history, their treatment history. A lot of people on regular probation, part of the reason they don't succeed is because they fail to actually attend treatment as required by the court. One thing about our program is that we hold them very responsible and make sure that they are actually attending the treatment programs and being very active and participating effectively in that program. And so I think that's one of the reasons why our program is very beneficial and successful in helping some people maintain sobriety.
It sounds like you all have a lot to do by the time, just to keep tabs on these people and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be. That sounds like more than a full-time job.
It is, and they depend on us, and we want them to be successful, and that's important to us. I also go out at night. I'm the tracking officer, so at night when all of you guys are getting ready to go to bed, I'm going out to check on their curfew, because they have a curfew. So when you're in phase 1, you can't leave your home for any reason until after 10 o'clock.
After 10 o'clock, okay.
And so I go to check to see if they're home, what they're doing. Is the house clean? Are the kids in bed? Do they have food in the refrigerator? Are there any drugs or alcohol there? They know to open the door to me. They talk to me. They let me know if something's going on in the home. So I'm there every week and randomly every week. So if I see them on a Tuesday, the next week, I don't want them expecting me to be there on a Tuesday. I may see them on a Saturday, or I may skip them thinking, okay, I'm okay, and then I'll get them the next week. So I'm out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Every morning. Quite an undertaking. We're partway through the coffee break program on KMEM Radio. We'll take a break, hear from our sponsors, and continue with more on this subject of drug court coming up in just a moment. Well, you guys are doing fabulous. County. And actually, this is the Second Circuit that involves several counties here. I've got Corey Moon in. He's the Lewis County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, and he's the prosecutor for drug court. Also, Judge Tom Reddington, the drug court judge, is in. Jane Moore, case manager and K-9 officer, and Tanya Steele, administrator of the Second Circuit drug court program. And when we were talking, Jane, I think we left off with you about some of what you have to do, going into people's homes, keeping tabs on people, all this. One thing I wanted to know, people that come into drug court, and during the process, are they, sounds kind of strange, glad to see you guys? Are they resentful of you guys when they see you, what you do? How do people react?
Well, at first they're really apprehensive and anxiety and, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? There's so much going on that first phase. And gradually they get used to me being there, used to me coming. Of course, I always try to make them feel comfortable when I'm there. I'm not, I'm not coming in there telling them what to do. It's usually a easy conversation. Hey, I'm here tonight to drug test or check you. I do a PBT, which is a portable breathalyzer, to make sure they haven't been drinking. I kind of look around if the kids are there or the significant other is there. I make conversation with them. I look around a little bit, check their refrigerator, or maybe just talk to them and check to see how things are going that night. And then I leave. I'll check with you later. Have a good night. Call if you need something. So it's a continuous cycle of getting to know me, because they're going to have to know me for about 2 years. So it's better to go in and make them feel comfortable and make them realize that this is just part of it, and you can get through this and we'll get through it together. If I find something, then we'll discuss it at court. Nobody's against you. We'll correct it. We'll sanction you. We'll go on with the program. How
in-depth of a search can you make, though? Because doesn't it come to a point, and maybe not since they're offenders, they're in the program, but at some point, would a search warrant have to come into play if you were really going to start digging through their things?
No, because when they come into the program and they sign the contract, they are fully aware that they are subject to search in any way, by me, by law enforcement, at all times. And I tell them that as a case manager, listen, you are subject to search and you have to cooperate with that. And they understand that. I mean, they can't even have mouthwash that contains alcohol in it, because we test for alcohol. So they know. There's stringent requirements, and they know coming in, and we tell them, this is how it's going to be. You have to open up your home. You have to be willing to let us look. So, I mean, I've looked under beds, I've looked in closets, I've looked in shoes, I've looked in refrigerators, I've looked in freezers, because it's my job to do that and tell them, you know what, you're not going to have this in the home. You're not going to do this. We're going to work with you to where you don't need any of that to be successful in life.
Now, this is kind of a crazy question too, Judge, but when they come in front of you and you explain all this to them, once they're assigned to drug court, do they have a choice as to whether they want to be in drug court?
Sure.
They do.
Yeah, they're there by choice. Of course, the alternative is go to prison. And so most of them are there willingly, wanting to deal with their addiction. They don't like it very much in the beginning. In fact, not long ago I had a woman who's in the drug court program. She had just come in, and she said, "You all are up in my face every minute of every day." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, we are. And we're going to stay that way until we get you straightened out. You have to follow all of the rules." But once they've been in the program for a while, they're happy to see Jane. They're happy to come to court to show me that they're being responsible, that they're testing negative, that they've got a job, and when they do that, we praise them. We reward them for doing well. We punish them for doing poorly, but we reward them for doing well, which is a little strange in a courtroom setting. In fact, we clap for them when they have done well. You may be in the courthouse sometime and hear a bunch of people up in the courtroom clapping, which is an unusual thing.
I was going to say.
Yeah, but it's a way to positively reinforce their good behavior. And so we're working on both ends, punishing the bad behavior and rewarding the positive behavior, to modify the way that they have been living to make them responsible citizens.
And they come before you on a weekly basis?
Every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you talked about some sanctions. Once they're in the program, Jane, if you find they've messed up,
Yes.
then what happens at that point?
Well, it depends how they messed up. It goes from going to jail for a while, maybe 48 hours, maybe a week. I have occasionally said, you know, I don't know if you really belong in this program. You're going to go to jail for a week, and you think about whether or not you want to stay in this program or just go off and go to prison. They almost always want to stay in the program. We also, if they're having a problem with their addiction, we might order them to go to more treatment, go to an AA meeting every day, trying to work on fixing the addiction. So there's a whole range of sanctions that we would use, many of them short of having to go to jail, to try to modify their behavior.
So how many chances would somebody get before you say, you know what, you're just not getting with the program, you're back in the system?
Yeah, well, and now if they commit a new crime, they're probably going to get thrown out and have to go to prison. If they regularly try to cheat the system, diluting their urine, we test their urine twice. Jane does that. Sure, it's a happy job for her. If they regularly try to cheat by putting substances in their urine, trying to dilute their urine, if they regularly try to cheat our system, they're going to get thrown out and have to go to prison. If they just sort of fall off the wagon, we're going to put them back in treatment because addiction is very hard to overcome, and we recognize that. Do they,
Well, I'm sure they probably do, try to cheat the system, but you have ways to be able to tell that they're trying to cheat?
We do, yeah. Jane is a real pro at catching people trying to cheat.
Any examples you want to give, Jane, or?
We've hidden people in the basement, we've lied, we've hidden stuff in the car, we put stuff on our person. I've never had them cheat a UA because we stand over the top of them. They can't bring in urine, they can't manipulate the UA because we stand over the top of them. So I've never had a manipulated UA. I've had them try to flush, and of course our tests are significant enough that it tells me immediately if it's diluted, the urine's diluted. I've had that happen, but they just don't do it. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I just catch them every time. Sometimes you don't catch them right off, but you know, if we give them an opportunity, they always seem to catch themselves.
But once you catch them the first time, do they continue to try to beat the system, or do they figure, yeah, okay, this is not going to work?
No, because going in front of the judge, and here's the other thing, their peers are sitting there while they're having to say, yes, I messed up, yes, I had this in my house, yes, I was gone, yes, I had a dirty UA. All their peers are behind them, and having to go to jail or do a sanction or something like that is a very belittling time for them. And yeah, some of them may try it again, but I have a lot of them that are devastated and don't want to have to go to jail or be sanctioned, and we're tough, and we don't say, oh, well, that's okay. No, they get in trouble every time. And so they learn.
So, Mr. Moon, how long a program is this? Once you recommend somebody for the program and they're approved, what's the total length of the program before they pass the program?
Tanya probably would be better to talk about that, but we have 2 tracks. There's a misdemeanor track and a felony track. And the misdemeanor, I think, is around 18 months, and the felony track is about 24 months or 2 years.
And what would be considered misdemeanor and felony?
Well, depending on what their charge is, it would be a misdemeanor or felony. So that would determine what track they're on in the drug court program.
Okay, Tanya, how about you?
Yes, that's correct. Depending on the track that they're in, most of them, usually a lot of the misdemeanors will even maybe end up doing closer to the 24 months, depending on the situation. But there are times that people will do really well in the program, and they are, as part of the incentive and reward for them doing well, we do go ahead and maybe promote them through the program a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. So it's not a guaranteed 24 months. It's based a lot on their performance, and it's all on an individual basis that way.
So, Judge, once a person gets through, they successfully complete the program, then what happens?
Well, we hold a graduation ceremony for them and congratulate them on how well they've done. I'll tell you, most of the people, by the time they are ready to graduate, and I'm just kind of guessing here, but they have probably proved that they've been clean for over a year. And so then we're pretty confident that, you know, they've been off drugs, they're not drinking, and they've been proving it to us with the test in their urine. We're confident that they are going to do well. Now they stay on probation. They go back to regular old probation for the rest of their term. But we've had great success with people. Once they graduate the program, we almost never see them again.
And that's a great thing, and I appreciate you guys coming in and explaining all this. Wish we had more time for some more information, but that wraps up our coffee break program for this Thursday. Dave Bowden's in with the General Store after ABC News at the top of the hour. This has been Coffee Break on KMEM Radio.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's
there's
okay, I
never
was gonna
enough
ask a
time for this
question.
show.
If you don't have to be a drug, you don't have to have a drug charge to go to.
You have to have,
Right.
you have to be identified as having a drug issue or an
problem.
addiction issue. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the actual charge. We have
And one other thing I wanted to ask, somebody graduates the program and they finish their probation, they're clean, they do well for a year or two, and then they fall back again. Are they eligible to repeat the program, or are they just into the system at that point?
It's up to him.
We have one right now that actually is going through
The second
Really?
time and doing really, really well.
Oh man, I'm on that.
That's great.
Because some people don't, but and it's a case by case.
See you, Mark.
basis and
I'm out of
everything,
here.
too.
See you
Might as
later.
well
See you
be.
morning.
Excuse
Yeah, I'll handle the store, Dave. Go right ahead.
General store.
Yeah.
All right, no, I'm gonna scoot my chair out of the way.